Time to rune. Let's get ready to rune. Welcome everyone to class 4 of Advanced Runology. Tonight's class is called Patterns of Rune Magic, and we will be looking at ways to use the runes as a magical system, one that is as versatile as an alphabet and as complex as a language. As you work with almost any branch of magic, from kitchen witchery, green witchcraft, chaos magic, whatever, you can often find a use and place for the runes. They are as much the tool of the eclectic, then, as they are the dedicated rune worker, or heathen. I would argue that this is because it's both an alphabet and a magical language. Runes can be used with relatively little specific training. In the same way that a person can travel around a foreign country with a guidebook and a language dictionary and find their way from point A to point B. But just like in that example, you're going to get better results the better you speak the language, right? And if you made it this far in my Advanced Runology course, chances are you want to know more than the runic equivalents of, hi, my name is Birch, where is the bathroom? Which is the most important phrase to learn in a foreign country, I assure you. But since there's an endless amount to learn and understand on this topic, and I only have an hour, because you don't want me to stay here for 6 hours, do you?
No, love your butt.
Okay. That's what you'll get tonight, is that basic overview using Birch's Pocket Translation Guide to Rune Spells, which you all should have near you or on the table. We have many copies. So tonight we'll be learning how to bless and protect the home, how to use runes to help us on our journeys, both physical and astral, and how runes have been used for healing. And I will also go over runes that are associated with the 4 elements, and that can be incorporated into spells you do involving earth, air, fire, and water. Finally, we will close with some rune practice of our own, making our very own rune staves that can go around the home or the altar, or into a fire, or anything like that. And the bind rune cookie, which is one of my favorite forms of rune magic because it is both effective and delicious.
It is also effective.
You may also notice during the class that I will use a single rune in different ways at different times. The form of the rune is set by your intentions when creating this spell. And because, like I said, runes are both an alphabet and a magical language, one rune can have has a main meaning, but it also has layers of meaning underneath that initial meaning. So as you work with the rune and you come to understand its different levels of meanings, you can use the rune to do things that you might not necessarily expect. So for example, we can talk about the rune Uruz. It means aurochs. Aurochs is an extinct wild cow of Europe, like a buffalo. From aurochs, we obviously get things like strength, vitality, power, but we also get water, both because Vaiulva, the sacred cow who licked the frost giants out of the ice and gave her milk to the first beings, which in a spiritual sense can be linked to the water cycle. Water that comes in, goes down to the earth, comes in, and flows up to the clouds, and comes back down again as rain. The better you understand how your rune is being applied, the more thoroughly it will fall into the pattern. With the right focus and training, you can go down several layers of a rune's meaning to get just the right frequency for your spell. So let's start tonight with one of the most common uses of rune magic, protection and blessings for the home. Next slide. So this is based on a rune spell that I've used for a whole home blessing for both good fortune and protection. It can be done on like a regular basis, maybe, when you do like your spring cleaning or something, you want to freshen up the energies. It's also very effective when you first move into a place and you want to set the intentions and energies of the home that you are just moving into. So if, like me, you've been in many homes and apartments and things, this is a very helpful one to do. you can start almost anywhere. I'm having this one start in the bedroom. Because you think about the bedroom is a place where, ultimately that's the purpose of the home when it comes right down to it, right? You need a place to sleep, you need that shelter. So you start in the bedroom and you would stand over your bed. And you draw in the air. So just using your arm, you make the sign of Lagos. Straight line up and the little curvy line going part way, like a funky L, upside down. You may also, and with Lagos, you are calling upon the power of goddesses associated with wells and water. And think about it, when you're trying to sleep, you know how nice that sound of like lightly falling rain or lightly moving water, how soothing that sound is. So you want to kind of think about that noise, and you want to think about sleep and dreams, because Lagos is also a rune of the subconscious and unconscious mind. That like nice, peaceful, oh my gosh, that was such a great hours of sleep feeling. You want to invoke that feeling. And then you would say something while drawing the rune. Say, I call upon the blessings of sleep, of dreams and restful slumber, to whomever or to me or may sleep in this bed. Let it be a place of safety and rejuvenation for all the nights it is slept in. Then as you draw the Lagos, I often kind of like flip it and then just draw it so it's legs laying down to symbolize, again, the rune is now laying down and is now directly tied to sleeping in that bed. Then you want to go to closet, dresser, any part of the home that has your stuff stored into it. Could be any closet. The idea here is now you're going to link this closet to all the places in your home where you have your belongings stored. Okay, so I feel it's best to do this with like when you first, like the first thing that pops in your head when you think closet, do it with that one. And then draw here the sign of Fehu, the rune of material, possessions, wealth, money. It's the F with the lines pointing up. And standing in the closet, you put your hand in it and you draw the sign of Fehu. And you bless your possessions as follows. By Fehu, I bless what I own. May they always be bought with money that can be spared and come to me when I need them. Should they pass away from me, may they go where they are also needed. Then go to a bathroom, and you want to stand either right by the sink or shower or bathtub, anywhere close to the water. Either one would work. And you invoke Urus in its form of water. So that's the one that's like a really pointy upside down U. So you draw that shape in the air. And you say, may the water which flows through the pipes and faucets of my home be blessed. May it cleanse in body, in mind, and in spirit. May it come when it's needed and go where it must. Then go to the living room. And here you're going to use manas. Tricky to draw down the air, but I do think like the little X and then 2 sideways slashes. And that's the sign of manas. And you say, may the community which gathers in this home be one of love and good cheer. May we come together in friendship and fellowship, and may we part the same. Let friends and family be welcome alike. And that can be done. I put this in a living room, but if there's a place like back here in the mead hall that you tend to gather your people into, that would be the place to do it. But not quite the kitchen, because the kitchen has its own room. Our kitchen witches, Amethyst, Jen, you know that the hearth is the heart of our homes, and the fire of our stoves and microwaves is the source of much yummy goodness. So here we're going to use Kenos, the controlled fire of the home, which is the kind of sideways V like the little crocodile greater than sign, or less than sign, less than sign. So stand over your stove and say, may our heart be ever lit and bestow upon us food and drink, which will fill us in mind, in body, and in soul. Let the kitchen fires be always lit safely and cook with great success. So then, last step I have here is second to last step, sorry. Go to the threshold of your home and stand just outside the front door. And you're gonna draw a thursos, your favorite thorny. Thorny. So that's the straight line with the little triangle in the middle. Draw a thursos. If you happen to have a Mjolnir, I hold this up in my other hand because I want to call upon Thor. And then keep drawing thursos and say, great Thor, protect this home and all who dwell within. May it be kept safe to offer us all we need to live in love and fellowship. And that's why you have your Mjolnir if you've got one. And then after you finish with thursos, so thursos is done facing your door. All right, you're facing the door, and now you're going to turn the other way, and you're going to look out like across your front yard, driveway area. Okay. And now you're going to use Othala. So that's read in book it's called the upside down goldfish. But it's that shape. And you draw that in the air and say, this is my home, protected and blessed. By family, by friends, by love, by sorrow. May it be a refuge in times of need and times of joy. And the last two runes, you can do that in your front yard, but you can also repeat that for any other entry points to your home for maximum protection, security, and blessings. Okay. Next slide. So that is the whole home blessing. So now that we've been home, let's talk about traveling and trance magic with the roots. As our beloved Havamal, verse 38 says, a wanderer should not walk far unarmed, but have weapons to hand. One knows not when a spear is needed, or what you will encounter along the road. How does this attitude play into using runes while traveling? Very much. So I have here runes for a car trip. The three runes I like best before a car trip are AWAS, because if you think about it, a car is just a modern horse in a magical sense. Rhino, that's symbolic of the road that we are traveling on. And algaes, to keep my car, and thus me, safe on the road. So while Thurasaz is a good protection rune for the home, because it's so stationary and steadfast, algaes is a good protection rune for the car, because you need something with a little bit of zip behind it. And algaes is a good rune for offensive protection that is willing to run around and, race about. I will not drive to Miami without first tracing these three runes in order on my dashboard. While it hasn't always kept me completely out of trouble, as some people here can testify, I've always made it home again. Which, like Odik said, you never know what you'll encounter on the road, but the main thing is to get back safely and in one piece. In my case, I've encountered idiotic, reckless drivers, really idiotic, reckless drivers, and a broken cooler belt, all in Miami. And all leading to either car accidents or memorably being stranded in the Everglades for several hours, smack in the middle of the Tamiami Trail. But with the help of these three runes, I have at least been stranded in a safe location and not injured in any of those car accidents caused by the reckless or extremely reckless and idiotic drivers. And if you're going on any long car trip, I would suggest these three runes as well. There's a variation that we'll all want to know about with hurricane and rainy season coming up, you have these 3 runes, but add in a lagoose to protect you from the standing water that will flood roads like Coral Ridge Drive. Because we all know how it gets out here sometimes, where you have these entire lakes and your car is swimming. Yeah, exactly, your car is becoming a canoe. So if that happens, use AWAS, Ride-Ho, Lagoose, and Algies. Put those 4 runes together and draw them on your steering wheel. And then if your car starts having to swim, just keep repeating them out loud and say, come on, car, we can do this. Like I said, it's not guaranteed to keep you out of trouble, but it will help. All right. Next slide. Okay. So next we're going to talk about how do you think you can minimize the cameras so we can see the other half of the. There should be a button there to minimize the video cameras. There we go. Perfect. Okay. Now we can see it. So I have here 2 different rune combinations that can be used for astral travel. And I call them Sleipnir on the Tree and Heimdall opening the Bifrost. So Sleipnir on the Tree uses Awaz for Sleipnir, who is the 8-legged horse of Odin. And Sleipnir is one of the only creatures in the 9 worlds who can travel between them without needing either the Bifrost or some other magical means of going between the worlds. He himself can go wherever he likes. So you would, and then Iwaz is for Yggdrasil, the world tree. So you use this as part of a meditation, where you call upon Awaz for Sleipnir to sort of act as a guide through the worlds to help you with traveling, and then you use Awaz to call upon Yggdrasil to kind of open up the worlds to you through its branches. And then we have the variation, which is Heimdall opening the Bifrost, which uses Manas. Manas is Heimdall's sacred rune. So you use Manas to call upon Heimdall, and then I usually use Ride-Ho. I've also seen it possibly used with Issa, but either way, you're calling upon the Bifrost bridge to use that link that goes from Asgard and links it to Jotunheim and other worlds. So this would be something that you call upon at the start of your meditation. You can, draw the runes. Also, I want to test with my new Galder drum. When it's ready, I want to try doing this with tapping and chanting them. And maybe I'll let you know the results next month at chanting and dancing the runes. And I think that might be an interesting trick. So those are a couple of rune combinations you can use.
Would you be able to draw them and combine them?
You could, yes. That would make a very good vine rune as well. I just have them laid out on here so you can see them. But yes, you could definitely make vine rune out of them.
It doesn't matter once you bind them, you can bind them.
Yeah. You can.
It doesn't matter if you turn it.
Exactly.
Which way it will.
Exactly. We're gonna get that when we talk about vine runes here later, but yes, it won't matter. Okay. Next slide. Okay. Healing runes. In the Havamal, Odin says of Uruz, I know a second magic, one that will let one heal another in kind. Uruz is a rune of direct healing, allowing one to alter the flow of energy in a pattern similar to that used in Reiki and other forms of energy healing, altering the energy to flow outwards, receive healing from other runes. I've used both Sawilo and Ansu's. and then return to the body, refresh, replenish, and restored. This was oddly enough the very first healing spell I ever learned. I did not know it was associated with Ansus when I learned it, but it worked so well because what I learned was when mental illness got really bad, to say a prayer like, "Take Goddess, take up my strength so it can be returned in full," where the idea was you pictured the energy that was very depleted from your body being drained out, replenished by the Goddess, and restored back into the body. And once I realized about Uruz, I'm like, wait, that's exactly what Uruz is doing, because Uruz comes up, goes over, and it comes back down again. And when I got my Reiki attunement, I actually started using Uruz instead of the official Reiki stuff, because for me, it just made more sense and it was easier. But it seems to work just as well, right, Jen? Yes. There we go. It's most effective at wounds of body or soul that require rejuvenation or replenishment. It can also be called upon when working a healing ritual out in nature to renew the vitality of plants, trees, and the soil. So if you're trying to do like a healing or working maybe for your garden before you do some planting, you can do this where you again, you call up the energy of the soil, let it be replenished magically, and then drop it back down again. And another major healing rune is Kenaz. We talked about Kenaz a minute ago, talking about fire. Kenaz is a rune of knowledge that has been turned to action. And thus its appropriateness as a healing rune is a little bit more indirect compared to Uruz, because it's a guide for the healer, to help the healer come to an understanding of what techniques and practices they are going to need to use, and then turn that knowledge from being trapped in the head and turn it outwards towards the problem that needs to be solved. So it's like, it's a guide, it's sort of like an encyclopedia, like, okay, I know this is what's going on, I need to figure out what's happening. How do I apply what I know and use it to fix this particular situation? Okay. And, that's just kind of going back to, again, its concept of fire, but fire in the sense of intellect, knowledge, and understanding, which we'll talk about more when we get to the fire runes momentarily. All right, next slide. Okay, now we're going to talk about runes that can be incorporated into magic using the 4 elements: earth, air, fire, and water. Starting with some of the runes that are most closely tied to earth magic and earth energies, and how they are similar and different from one another. Birchana, my favorite rune because it means birch tree, is the one that looks like a pointy beak. Birchana is the rune of the Earth Mother, Frau Erde, Gaia, the creatrix of life. She is the Earth Mother, and this is the rune that tied to her energies, the great cycle of life, birth, and rebirth that comes to us through the Great Mother. And also, all that goes along with it. We're talking fertility, new beginnings, but especially fertility, women's magic, and that type of that aspect of earth magic.
Does it help in gardening?
Oh, yes. And then we also have Ingus, which is the rune of the Earth Father. This is Freyr's rune. One of Freyr's other names is Ing, from which Ingwas takes its name. Ingwas or Ingus. In some traditions, there is, of course, the Green Man, the Horn God of many of the Celtic paths. This is also a rune that you can use, I've noticed, in working with him as well. The idea of the Horn God who gives the seed of life to the mother. So this is now moving away from the divine feminine earth. We're now talking about the divine feminine masculine, which I think really deserves a lot more talking up in magical circles, because that's the provider of the seed. I mean, the strictly diamond shaped Ingus is pretty obviously meant to be a seed, ingus with the two X's on top of each other for like a sprouting seed. But it's again that idea that between Berkana and ingus, you have the ingredients of the great circle of life. The seed that is fertilized by the earth, grows into the plants and animals, dies, decays, is broken down by our friends the mycelial network, and turned back into soil. That great circle of life. And that is symbolized by Jera, the rune of the harvest. Jera literally means year. It's where you get words like the German Jahr and our own word year. Both come from Jera. Jera is the accumulation of that cycle. Whenever you're doing any magic that is cyclical in like long-term goals, long-term plans, this is the rune of that great cycle of life, death, that comes full circle. And you notice that Jera has the two little canazes basically facing each other, because that's the symbolic of the great circle of life. They're coming together, and you can imagine them just spinning forever and ever and ever together in a great, yeah, exactly. They spin and twirl together, because everything goes from one point to another to the next. And really, if you think about earth magic, you talk about the stability, but you're also talking a lot about cyclical magic, the change and the comings and goings of throughout the season and throughout the year. All right, next slide. All right, next we have the runes of the air. And when I was thinking about this and thinking about how these runes fit together, you can also imagine it like there's 3 layers of air magic. The highest layer is Tiwaz. Tiwaz, Tyr, is the sky father, the ancient sky father of the Indo-Europeans. In some cultures, he was called Zeus or Jupiter. In the Germanic culture, he was symbolized by Tyr. And when you're looking to invoke the divine within that air, the divine sky father, this is the rune that you would use. It's a rune of intent, ritual, invocation. You see how it's pointing upwards? That's kind of where its focus is meant to go, like upwards, as high as you can go. Almost out to the stars, basically. Right? And then the middle layer is Dagas, the 2 triangles facing each other. Dagas, which means day, is also the rune of the atmosphere. The way that the light is filtered through the sky is the work of Dagas. It's a rune of liminal spaces, sunrise, sunset. The filter of light that changes from, you get that nice dusky dawn, and then at night, and then you have the bright blue of the day, and then at sunset you get that big fiery spectacle that is all pink and red and yellow, right? So Dagas is all about our atmosphere. It is, the protective bubble above the earth that keeps us safe from the vacuum of outer space. That is sort of Dagas's domain, that in between space and the ground. And then the lowest, but by far from the least important, is the rune of Ansus. Ansus is the air that we breathe. It's air that allows us to take in air from our lungs and breathe them out again. When we, before meditation, what do, right? We always take 3 deep breaths, right? To kind of steady and ground yourself. Ansus is that sort of intentional breath, intentional breathing. It's often called the gift of Odin, because when Odin was, or in one story, shaping the first 2 people, his gift to them was the breath of life. As long as we're breathing, we're alive. If we stop breathing, we stop living. So Ansus is that air that we breathe that allows us to talk, to sing, to meditate, and all those basic functions without which we'd all be corpses lying on the ground. So when you're working with air magic and you're working with runes, just kind of imagine them in that same way, like way up there in the upper atmosphere, beyond the surly bonds of Earth, the atmosphere that protects us and keeps us safe and makes life possible. And then on the lowest level closest to us, the action of your lungs inside your body and how the three of them interrelate. Okay, next slide. All right, now we're getting to the fire runes. Fire. Now, with the fire runes, they're also interconnected, but with similarities, but also distinctions between them. So, Nelthys means the need fire. This is the bonfire that can keep you alive through a winter night outdoors if you're in a cold climate where that is a concern. But here in Florida, I think more relevant to us are the sacred fires we light at the different Sabbats. It's the fire of that, that connection to spirit that you need to twirl around the seasons, right? It's the Beltane fire that burns up and brings back the summer. It's the Yule fire that you burn in your Yule log to, call back the sun, which we're going to be doing later this year, by the way. Right? So Nelthys, in that sense, is the fire that means something to us. It's a fire of need and desire. Kenaz, by contrast, is the controlled fire. It's sometimes translated as the torch. Think about like a flashlight, or a light bulb. It's an internal fire of knowledge, intellect, and illumination, of sudden understanding. It's fire that we can hold and grasp, whether metaphorically or literally, and it's fire that does a job for us. A lot of times this rune was used by smiths. When you're working in the forge, you have that fire that's the literal tool of your trade, and it's that controlled fire that you take the knowledge, you apply the fire to it, and you come up with something new. So that's Kenaz's area of expertise. And thirdly, we have Sowilo, the solar fire, the lightning bolt. This is the fire that is beyond human control. Both Kenaz and Nelthys, to some extent, are within the control of humans. Sowilo is not. Sowilo is a divine fire. It is the fire of the sun. It is the lightning bolt hurled by Thor. It's the driving force of our will and the bright light of powers beyond our own. No matter how much we use the sun's energy or use electricity, to some extent it's still stronger than we are. And the sun especially is well beyond human control. So those three fires, again, Nelthys is almost like I kind of see how Nelthys is orbiting like in between the two, where there's that element of need and divine purpose, but it's also somewhat under our control because we have our fire tender to make sure that the fire doesn't burn down the entire neighborhood. But at the same time, it's not completely within our control. Where something like, you flick a switch and the light bulb comes on, we can control whether or not that light comes on or off. Especially if you have electro mages running around, right, Carl? But good luck trying to control a lightning bolt, Carl. Let's try that sometime.
That's gigawatts, I ain't playing with that.
Consider electricity fire and not earth.
To some extent, yeah. I mean,
We're not.
when it comes to runes, it's definitely closer to the fire runes.
I would think it in anything would be close to a fire. Because it's high energy and
Yeah. And I mean, you think about it, it makes sparks.
Yeah, it causes fire, electricity causes fire.
You put water in it, right?
Yeah.
That's what happens though, if it's electrical, don't put water in it, because it
Well,
will
water, no.
Oh, yeah, no, that's fire.
But again, it can cause fire because at least within the house, within the electrical wires, we have control over it.
With the earth, you control it. You
Exactly,
ground it.
exactly. You're grounding it with the earth. And that's how it stays under control. Lightning and the sun, on the other hand,
No earth.
are purely divine, purely up there, and we're not gonna try and play any Ben Franklin games with them.
I'm trying to control it.
Exactly.
Hmm.
You know, that's why we have so many ways to try and control lightning, because otherwise it's outside of our control. So next slide. So we covered fire. Now let's talk about water and the great water cycle. If you look at the PowerPoint there, do you see the similarity that I see between Urus and the water cycle? How it comes up,
Mhm.
it goes over, and it comes back down again. It's always fascinating me that like Urus, so again why I had with Ombla, the sacred cow who, you know, she licks up the ice, and then, you know, it goes through the cow's digestive tract, and then it comes out again as milk, which then the giant Ymir was able to drink. And that in many ways is symbolic of the water cycle. And so Urus is a primal mover of energies. And it is the rune of water in motion. Water either going through the great water cycle, the water of the raging river, that water that moves, it's thunderstorms for sure, because again, you have the idea of like the rain has come up and now it's got to come back down again. So it's any time when you're working with water magic and you want to move the water around, or the water is very energetic, you're working with Urus. Then we have we have the two frozen water runes. Because again, we're talking about a place where people were very cold, so a lot of times the water was frozen. So there's two of them. Hagalas and Isa are frozen water. Isa is the rune of ice. The stopping power of frozen fjords and hip deep snow. For those of you who are not familiar with hip deep snow, let me assure you that it will stop you from moving very quickly. Okay?
Or very far.
So
Or very far.
the opposite of motion.
Exactly. This Urus and Isa are pretty much polar opposites of each other. In a lot of spells that use Isa, it's used to literally stop other magic in its tracks. Hagalas is frozen like Isa, but it's not motionless. Its most common translation is hail. So the idea of the hailstone that falls out of the sky. Yeah,
Avalanche?
avalanche. Also here in Florida, I connect it most with hurricanes,
Flooding.
flooding. You know, it's water, but it's water that leaves a trail of destruction in its wake. It's sort of Hagalas's water aspect, which is why I think of hurricanes when I think of Hagalas.
Destruction.
Because it doesn't it's not like it doesn't rejuvenate in the end, it does, but only after it causes a whole lot of chaos first. So you think about like, when you think about hurricane magic, right, it's swirling, it's water, it's causing a huge mess and problems, but it also brings a lot of renewal in its wake. It's very important for the ecosystem. And so that's, since we don't get a lot of hail here in Florida, that's my Florida translation of Hagalas is hurricane, not hail. And then finally, we have Lagus. I love Lagus, it's one of my favorites. Lagus, you know the saying, still waters run deep? Lagus is the embodiment of still waters run deep. It's the rune of lakes, seas, like, you know, an inland sea that doesn't move around too much, not like a ocean sea, wells and ponds. And even though Uruz is typically the rune of rivers, this rune I've had the best work with compared to Uruz when it comes to the Everglades. Because the Everglades move so slowly that they're under the power of Lagus, not Uruz. And since Lagus falls into the third eight, the eight of spirit, it's the rune of the divine water, the unconscious mind and sleep. Whenever you, a lot of goddesses that are associated with water and wells and sacred springs are tied to the power of Lagus. That sort of magical water. You're just sitting there by a nice still lake and you just see little ripples running across the water. That kind of magic, not hailstones and raging rivers and rapids and such. Waterfalls. Uruz loves waterfalls, by the way.
So there's 4 runes for water. The rest were 3.
Yeah, the other ones I pulled 3 as main
Making sure
ones.
that I'm not missing.
Yeah, no, I pulled 3 for the others, but there were 4 for Lagus because Tagalas and Isa are kind of similar to each other. They're both frozen water. There's really, you could probably talk more. I've seen some charts that put all the runes associated with elements. A lot of it's very subjective. These are the ones that, in my experience, are like the most obvious. But as you work with them more, you can definitely, there's other runes, and sometimes no two people agree on what exactly a rune should be for. I will always insist that Uruz is a water rune for all the reasons I've given. I've also had a lot of people tell me it's an earth rune because of Aurochs and the bull and, you know, all that strength, vitality, Taurusness. I mean, at the end of the
Dual
day.
personality.
You see, I'm a Taurus, but I'm not a very Taurusy Taurus. I'm more of a watery Taurus, which might be why I think bull water, but
Main bulls very fun.
they do. I mean,
What reason?
so those are the runes that we would talk about when we're talking about the elements. Oh, I also didn't want to forget to mention, when you're working with Isa, I know we had that lovely class on Skathi, right? I mean, so Isa and Skathi are often used together. Because again, Isa is the rune of the deep, frozen, cold winter. And Skathi is a goddess of the deep, cold, frozen winter. She really likes the Isa rune. Although I think she might have been messing with me when she sent some freezing rain and took out some of my birch trees and then blessed a branch and had me find it. I think that was Hagalas, not Isa, but I'm not really sure where frozen ice storms come into the mix. Either way, that was her idea of a blessing for me, was here. We're gonna chop 8 branches off one of your tree friends and you can have the remains. But hey, cycle of life. I think she meant well.
I mean, if you leave the branches long enough, it turns into a tree.
Exactly. Well, and it came home with me and it's now sacred to her because, well,
No, it won't turn into a tree. If you leave it now, it won't, but
and birch trees can't grow down here in Florida.
True.
It's too hot for us. We would not do well. All right, so next slide. All right, so who wants to make your own rune spells?
Yay. I made some.
All right, so let me just explain a little bit, and then I'll tell you what we're gonna do here. So we're gonna close tonight's class with a practical exercise in writing our own rune spells. For this, you have Birch's pocket translation to rune spells, which can also be found on the Grove's Facebook page. I posted it there last night. So when you're making a rune spell, you want to think about what you want for your spell. You want to look at the different runes, pick the runes that you think are going to work best, and you want to think about how they're going to flow together. We're going to use 2 different forms tonight. We're going to use a bind rune on a cookie, and we're going to write out a rune stave as well. Writing the runes down in the form of a spell stave is probably one of the 2 oldest forms of rune magic, along with casting the runes in divination. There's a lot of evidence that this method came first, and the bind runes came second. When you're doing a spell, you can use the runes in one of two ways. You can use it like an alphabet and transliterate what you want into runes as like one-to-one letters, or you can use them as symbols, select the runes which match your needs, and draw the runes as a series of magical symbols. What you write on is, in wood, is called a stave. You want to make sure you're selecting the right material for a stave. Tonight we're going to be using the wooden popsicle sticks and the cookies, but you can use bone, wood, stone, metal, paper, the air, just about anything that can be written on. Like you saw when we were doing the blessings for the home, you can write your runes directly on the air. I find that's good if you're just, I need a rune right now, and you don't worry about having it stored somewhere. The air is great. If you intend to burn your rune, you should use paper or wood. So like say you want to do a blessing for a fire, like, lit up, you're gonna have a fire, you want to do a blessing. You could write out your runes on a piece of wood and stick it in the fire along with the other pieces to burn. Because what you do after it's finished is very important. If it's meant to provide blessings or protection for a certain place, you should put it there somewhere, but keep it just out of sight. Runes like to be hidden. They like to be mysterious and hidden. If it's meant for a deity, you might want to put it on the altar, on your altar. Or same with like if you're doing anything with your ancestors, you can put that on like an ancestral altar. If you want to keep it like an amulet, you put it into a magical bag, pouch, or carry it with you on a necklace. And I thought this was interesting. If you want to send the rune magic to another person, the traditional method is to toss it either onto a chair that they're about to sit on or into their home. Curses in the sagas are usually delivered this way, but I see no reason why blessings couldn't do the same. Or curses.
I want some.
Just saying. We're being traditional here. And then if you want to dispose of your rune charm, you have a few choices. If you want to, you can bury it in the earth, hang it from a tree, or cast it into water if you want to be more like a slow decay type thing. If you want to go quickly, use a fire. And if you want to just do it like immediate come and go, draw it into the air. If you want to absorb the rune magic into yourself, eat it.
Hey.
Like I said, rune cookies are an actual form of rune magic. They're both. But what you do, if you're doing on anything that you're going to eat, make sure it's something you want to ingest. Whatever spell you're doing, make sure you are doing it something that you actually want to absorb. So think carefully before you do it because you want what you eat.
Mhm.
Right?
No pickup.
I do a lot of sigils cooking
Yeah, right?
for other people, so yeah. We need to be careful, make sure it's good.
Exactly. You want to make sure your intentions are clear and you're not sliding anything into it that you don't want to have, because then you're going to eat it, or whoever you give it to is going to eat it. All right. Next slide. Let's just talk real quick about bind runes. So the use of bind runes began as a practical means of saving space while creating your spell. By combining several runes into a single shape, you could employ more runes than would otherwise fit. And over time, this space-saving technique became a form of rune magic in its own right and continues to be very popular today. Probably the most famous bind rune of the 21st century is the Bluetooth symbol, which is in honor of, which is a younger Hoggle and Bjorken, in honor of Harold Bluetooth, who unified Scandinavia. That's where we get the word Bluetooth from, and that symbol of the Bluetooth is a bind rune. Now you know. And we also have the famous hurricane protection.
That's me going like this.
And you know, that's the
Al
change.
displays Vanna White on the.
Girls edition. I can tell you.
And this is again an example of a binder that can be eaten because this was on a cake. And
Seem to recognize that. There's some Florida in the background.
And that's,
Yeah.
and that's a hard, that's what.
yes, that is a hurricane protection binder combining algae and thorough sauce.
I did that.
And she made that.
That
was all out.
Look, it is a triple.
I made a new one.
That's the point, right?
I made a new one while you were
Then-
talking.
Oh.
Mayor
As a
when
matter
you
of fact,
were.
we did that today
I
in my
did.
yoga class.
All right, so. Everyone wants to, just have your plates, right? Or you have a plate, or we
Yeah.
get you a plate?
I don't mean, why don't we have this one?
Well, we can put the cookie on.
Go grab some plates.
And someone can please grab some plates. I will pass
So what
out.
if I don't wanna make a cookie?
You don't have to make a cookie if you don't want a cookie.
That's Dave.
You can make some, you can make an extra steak.
Oh, I wanna.
So if you want, I got a bunch, I got 60 of them, so take as many as you want.
Yeah, I wanna put some in my plants.
Okay,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, that'd be a
That's
good place
idea.
for
Yeah.
them. In your plan,
I wanna put this one on my
So,
cookie.
so you're saying, cause I do have
I found
a
plates.
salad right in my front door.
oh, which one? Oh, salad?
So, yeah, so, and you can see her pretty well.
Mhm.
I mean, she's so on those double crystals and whatnot.
Yeah,
So you're saying that they like to be hidden, she's not hidden whatsoever.
well, that's okay, I mean.
You can hide it in her.
I'm sure she's doing just fine,
So far so good.
yeah.
And I have a glass door, so when the light is
So
on
here, let's pass
outside,
around the.
when the light is on inside and not outside, you can actually see the shadow of her outside, which
Oh.
is pretty cool, but now you're saying. it's-
Well, that might be how she's handling it then, because Ruth's.
She's hiding in plain sight, because.
Yes.
People
Most
look
people
at her,
don't know
they'll
what she
just
is.
see, it's a beautiful sun catcher, and, but they don't know that.
Some six put together.
That's
and you
right.
can see
Exactly.
Maybe what it
She's
is.
hiding in plain sight. Ruth will find
We need
a way.
we need sticks.
Yes.
Okay, we'll send more sticks. Let's just pass around all the sticks.
You can stay, you can stay.
Everybody gets a stick.
Everybody can stay.
You got 66, and there's not 60 of you, so.
Everyone can make 12.
And this is for the cooking, sorry,
Yes.
I was running this,
Everybody
everybody,
started to make notes with the edible pen.
sorry, I used the black
Next, you
one.
just need edible paper, which is a thing.
It is a thing.
Yep.
I have it at home.
All right.
Listen,
So I'll
between
set up
edible
the-
and edible, that you can edit it and eat.
Oh.
I have a big problem
Edible.
when I was
Edible.
sending I was looking out and asking for, invitations, I think it was for the.
So I'm gonna do
The baby shower. And in my head,
And
it's
we
like,
can
what's
probably
point
stop
that
the
they
slideshow
printed the
now.
card?
Okay.
I don't understand, why am I getting from the card, they're gonna be eaten, because it was edible,
Oh,
and really.
So these are edible
I
food
didn't
pens,
Thinking about that, but.
and you can draw your bind rune onto
I have
them.
brain and brain again.
John had a question. Can you
I wasn't
use,
thinking any
can you use Ruse and Kinnaz for healing cancer?
I can't guarantee results, but, you could definitely try it. I would probably add, since there are two different elements, one water, one fire or earth. I would put a wound heal with them, because obviously you're gonna be wishing. And that rune will encourage harmony between the two, as well as the fulfillment of wishes. So I would put those two together, but I would add a wound gel to them, the little flag of joy. Ben, can't hear you?
You got it, thanks.
Yep.
Cool.
We just write. Runes on.
So, first, quick question, if we're like saving money, would you, Peku and ice, in Isa?
I would not use ISA because ISA will freeze.
Yeah.
freeze your
Thank you.
money.
I would probably want something that would bolster it. So,
Something that multiplies? What's
Yeah.
multiplying from?
a multiplier rune. Well, I mean, you could always, add in
If I do
no
one?
fees, cause you need the money. And maybe something like Sawilo, because you're trying to like be determined to get the money.
What about Gabo?
Gable, yeah, gift exchange.
No, I don't wanna exchange it, I want to keep it, I want it to grow.
Yeah, why don't you use Ingus for the seed and growth?
Grow.
That would make sense.
Jera for the harvest.
Yeah, I would combine Feihu with
Jera.
Ingus and Jera. Like you're planting the seed of-
Okay,
Plant the seed for more money, you get more money, and then the money grows.
and Ingus,
Yeah,
the lake? No, that's a goose.
no,
Ingus, Ingus with an E with an I.
with the eyes.
You English people.
Well, this
Oh,
is
you
the
spend
English.
with your B's and your B's, so you have no
Don't
idea.
get me started.
Like it's a different letter. Like it's a different letter.
Okay, and then for the camera, I'll show, this is a
No, I
copy
see
of one
that,
that I did.
I see that Ingus has 2 rooms.
Yes, you can use either one. So
And
we
both
have,
wanna make any difference?
no, it won't make any
And
difference.
before, no, I wanna get like, ooh.
I like the 2X one.
Look, I put my work on there.
So I'm gonna start with a seed. What are we doing? We're doing Ingus and then we're doing. Jera.
Yeah, I had Jero and Ingus.
Okay.
So the money stays there and
Let's
harvest
see
is
if I can
done.
get this to show, maybe. All right.
It takes a wheel.
So I,
And
Okay,
put some
here-
joy
here
in
I am.
there too.
all right, so I did, this is a copy of a rune that I sometimes use for, sacred fires. So Nauthies, may the, in this case, it was a Beltane fire, so may the Beltane fire
Wallet.
bring joy and prosperity
Which is
in the
good
coming
for-
year. to my Nauthies, Wunjo, Feihu, and Jera.
Now for my plants, I can put this on the soil, right?
Yeah.
For them.
Sure.
They're doing good. That's a little piece of, was it oregano that you gave me?
Mhm.
That thing grows
Like crazy.
like crazy. I didn't even know that. There's some oregano.
Oh, I'm such a good farmer.
Yeah. I'm like, dude, this is the last time I
What
water
if you
you?
took one of each of the elements and made yourself a little earth, air, fire, water stick?
That would be cool.
Yeah. And to give it to the goddess,
I gotta get it.
mother, give her a little gift.
I want a cookie with this on it. Guide by healing to the greatest good.
Oh, nice. I like it.
Safe travels through water, that's the
Mhm.
one that that I added my chicken foot in there.
Of course.
And may your windows hold. Othala, Therasaz, Hagala.
Nice, yes. Maybe your
And
windows.
this made a very nice.
That is really pretty.
Now, when you are banding rooms, right?
Mhm.
One, because, for example, if I got it. Isa here,
Mhm.
and I have, Feyu,
Mhm.
I can go like that. But it's Feyu itself,
Mm-hmm.
so how does that? Or would I have to do,
I would almost make 2 lines, yeah. Or I would add maybe add another line behind the Feihu. There you go.
if?
Yeah,
Well,
Or-
now it says if, it won't
or
be.
just try, do it like sigil magic where you just try to make it look pretty.
Yeah. I mean,
That's pretty.
Add something else to that.
yeah, add it, if you add another one, if you put a Jera or something maybe.
Okay, so my point was, I cannot make I should not make it
Well, I
disappear.
personally would not
Or be
combine,
hidden so much.
I would not combine each, I beg you, unless you're trying to curse someone to poverty.
Yeah, this is.
Those are very nice.
Yeah, I think, very nice. Let's see.
You know,
So, yeah, if,
Cause remember, Isa is used
yeah.
for anything other songs.
Oh, yeah,
So
nice.
there are times where you could use Isa,
Especially with
but if you're
foreign
gonna use Isa with something else, I would put in
Perfect.
something to try and deflect
You
its
got
freezing powers.
for the bolstering of the other room.
You know, I
as well
might-
as the cold
If this
freeze
would be a
protection.
working alone,
then for the-
really.
Well, that's the thing,
Or-
Isa,
Then for
I mean,
quick
if you
travel,
use, if you find
And
something like
then
Dagas that can
one
like
to
handle
breathe.
Yeah.
Yeah, he
liminal
needs that one.
spaces and
He
opposites,
needs
it
that one.
might be okay.
I like
But-
that.
Drives down here needs that.
The risk with Isa is it will.
I witnessed that all the way
Its
down.
power is it can freeze spells. So if you have a prosperity spell and you throw in Isa, well, now you're trying to.
I'm surprised you didn't throw
Man,
hands
no,
today.
no, that's why I'm.
I'm surprised, I'm surprised he didn't throw hands today.
You really
I
will.
need, I need these.
Send the every back. Goes over in Northwest.
So you want to figure that,
A
right?
little hard and.
Yeah, I'm surprised he didn't throw hands today.
Hey, Marnie.
I would
Money
think the
idea,
willow
money
is
idea.
the one to counteract Isa.
If you're trying to counteract, I would put in a Dagas. If you're trying to get an Isa to do something else, I would use either a Dagas or a Gabo, something that will exchange or transform it.
Mhm.
Dagas will, we didn't really cover this because it is a more complicated topic, but
Oh,
runes such as
like this is Jones cookie.
Dagas and Gabo can be used to bring two runes that would not normally work well together, because they can provide exchanges
Sorry.
or funnel the magic to a specific point.
Mhm.
So if you think about Dagas, how you have the two triangles, right, going down to a single point. You would have like your one rune on the other side, one rune on the other side, and you put Dagas in the middle, and you're basically trying to smush those two runes together safely. Like go from here to go to there. With Gabo, you're doing an exchange, right? So you have this, and now you're trying to transform it, and now it's something else over here. So you could use, if you have an Isa and you're trying to like turn the Isa around, you could put a Gabo and then you put your end result here. Maybe an Uru if you want this thing that's stopped. Gabo to transform it, and then Urus to get it going
Bring it
again.
back, right.
So Gabo is.
Gabo is a rune
Alchemy.
of exchanges and trades.
No, it's
So,
alchemy.
yeah, it's very alchemical.
Runic alchemy, how's that?
Yes. So you could use Gabo if you need to exchange one thing for another. It's a rune of gifts, exchanges, and trades. Because there are some runes that, you know, Gabo, Dagas, where they have their own purpose, but they also can be used to get other runes to play nicely. One of the reasons why I suggested Moonjo, for that spell that Shine was asking about, is Moonjo gets other runes, gets the magic of other runes to flow more easily and happily. It's like, you know, the life of the party showing up. And suddenly the room is like way more relaxed and cool. And, you know, the vibes are going much better. That's kind of Moonjo's specialty, is this sort of like.
You could, you could use different colors.
Yes.
And this way, like say you wanted, happy trails,
Mhm.
Wunjo with a road,
Yeah, with the Rhino.
with a Rido. So you just make a Wunjo and then take a different color and make the Rido.
You
And you
could,
could
yeah.
see that it's,
It's two, that
It's
would work.
two.
Yeah, that would work. And you can also use those colors as color magic when you're drawing the runes too. You know, like I said, runes are very adaptable. They take a lot of practice to really know them very well. And there's always more to learn about them, but they're adaptable. You can mix runes into almost any other practice because, you know, they cover so many different things.
Or put them back to back.
Yeah, or back to back, exactly. When you're making a bind rune,
Trails.
you're not tied to a specific direction or shape. When you're making a bind rune, you can do it basically however you want.
Is this good for the healing to the world?
Yes. For sure. Manas, Jera, yeah, definitely,
This is
Okay.
happiness, joy.
yeah.
Wunjo.
Writing on Sharpie on
'Cause like I said, you know,
it would be a good idea.
you know. Yeah,
So that's for me, that's for them. And now for the others.
Happy trails.
Happy trails.
happy trails. You know,
For my plants, for the ones that don't like it when I don't water them, then they give me the finger.
Oh, give them some.
give us one.
You see, the Rune looks happy, it doesn't matter what I do to them. The other ones, I feel like, lady.
Yes. You give those ones some nice lagos and maybe they'll be quiet.
How do these write?
Lagoose with an L, right?
Yeah, it's the one that, it's like a really pointy upside down.
So this is all about intention at this point.
Water magic, so they can be imagined in the water without giving.
Maybe we needed white cookies.
Well, I
Yeah, I
don't know
think
how
white
powerful
cookies
you are
are
with them. If you can summon water with
Well,
line alone, you're better than me.
Yes, and
I
white
am watering
usually
my
has coconut
plants,
in it.
but what am I planting? Well, maybe that means.
Which I would not have been very happy with.
Hard,
Yeah.
which is, what am I?
And if you want rain
I prefer
specifically,
chocolate.
you
Yeah.
would be talking urus, you know. So
Let's
like
say
when
like
you're
a
watering the plants, you can call upon urus while you're watering the plants. Cause that's the moving water, it's going out of the watering can and
Make it
into,
less, make it be there, so.
yeah.
It's all about intention.
Like I'm making out here.
Does anyone have any
And-
questions about what we've learned tonight? Like I said, this is
Yeah, a
a,
million of them, but.
None that we can get answered.
Where to begin?
like I said, what I'm trying to give you guys is the runic equivalent of, hi, my name is Birch, where is the bathroom? Because to try and teach you the entire runic language in one night,
It's like learning any language.
will be like trying to teach you an entire language in one day. I can at least get you enough knowledge to do a little teeny tiny bit of rune magic. So that's what we focused on tonight was, okay, let's learn how to bless the home, travel safely, and work with the elements.
Will you post those blessings, the home and the car?
Yes, I can probably get the entire PowerPoint into onto the Facebook page if you want.
Sure.
Yeah.
Hold on, my planties, what was it?
We were saying urus or lagos.
Oh, lagoose.
Yeah. I mean, you put both in and, you know, have even more water for those poor plants.
Like this? No,
Yeah.
because the other one, it will be, tiwas.
Tiwas is,
Martial powers,
Oh,
to the right path, connecting with the sky, father,
letter?
communication with the dead. No, not communicate with the dead, that's no, you stay alive.
it's in the Hobble guys, that's the route if you wanna call upon the dead. Just saying.
Mhm.
But the Hobble.
This one,
No, man, I mean,
Earth
I didn't
magic,
get along.
rain, lagoose.
Well, there you go.
That's for what?
This one, my plant.
That's,
Okay, I'm gonna do that for my
Okay.
plants.
Arcana,
Arcana,
urus,
Urus,
and lagoose.
and Lagos.
there you go.
I like that. And moving water.
There you go. Reading. So again, there's a lot you can do with rune
The name of
magic.
this is Grow Plants Grow.
Grow, plant, grow, yeah.
So if I wanna curse somebody, right down the spot, which gang sign, what you do?
The cursing will be a different class.
First name.
I
What
do,
is that?
You do all that, you just turn it upside down and shove it up their butt.
Do you guys remember?
Oh, yeah,
Do
splinters.
you guys remember when I did the hobby horse presentation? And I told you guys about the Nidhogg? How you, or not the Nidhogg, anyway, when you take a hobby horse and you use it as a curse. Because there's a thing you can do with the runes. Where you can use the runes, put them on the staff that has the horse's head on top. And you drive them to the ground and point at your enemy. And the runes will cause the land material of your enemy to rise up against them and make their lives an absolute misery.
Sorry.
Ocean of fleas. will come.
An ocean.
There's a description in one of the songs.
No, it's best eat our.
An ocean,
Yes.
like, oh no, that could go.
And you're gonna
Oh, yeah.
feel the goodness.
But yeah, no, we're not gonna cover cursing tonight, but I did tell you how to curse.
Yes.
If you were paying attention, you just learned how to curse the person.
You can heal, you can curse. You just do the opposite.
No.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm
It's
not
like
cursing.
saying rebound.
But that's what
I
I
just
thought
got
of.
that.
when you
Remember.
Put it on the person.
Yeah.
There's a rebound.
It's out. We've been rolling it right.
Runes
Yeah.
day.
Yeah, there's a
Like
rebound.
a moon's
Or
page.
there's a
I mean,
price you have
for
to
that,
pay.
we actually use a stone,
That's so.
There's always a
a
price.
really pokey stone.
Always.
Stones.
Lots of can you bounce back.
Good or bad.
Good or bad.
Well, that's the thing with the finger of power. Remember, this is going out, but look where those other three are pointing.
Yeah,
People forget that.
but you want to do with your whole hand.
This was a lot of fun.
Yes.
All right,
It was.
so next month,
Birch.
we are gonna have a special rune class
More food.
called Chanting and Dancing the Runes.
Woohoo!
And Moss, we're gonna be taking over your backyard.
Okay.
The patio and the backyard.
Say no worries.
And your neighbors might be a little confused.
I don't care.
Jarvis?
Yeah.
Oh, we're gonna have some fun.
I'm all good.
What day is that?
That is June 14th. Friday in June.
Come on down.
Okay, so.
Come on down.
Because we've now learned to divine with the runes. We've learned to write the runes into written rune magic. So what's left is enchantment.
Ooh.
Just remember my yard slopes towards the water.
Yeah.
Just saying, reminder.
Unless you want Lagos up close and personal.
Or a gator.
When you say your address out loud,
Huh?
your address.
Not right now, we're recording.
Oh,
right now.
okay.
I'll give it to you after.
We're still recording.
Are you?
We are, but I probably will cut a lot of this off.
Okay, thank you. I thought we.
I'll tell you after.
Oh, I thought we put
We'll say after, yeah. All right, so yeah, that's
Hello,
what we got for you
everybody.
guys.
Peace out.
It is 9:15, see?
Wonderful.
It's not
wonderful.
that long.
See, so it's a good thing I did not go off and explain about how Gagas and Gabo and Moonjo and Clarissa's all work.
It's another day.
Another day.
Another day, another
Right now, we're gonna blow out this candle, but hold it dear to everyone gathered here. From this grove we do depart, but keep its lessons in our heart. Merry meet, merry part, and merry meet again.
Yeah. I figured that would be like, I'll say that if I need to say it, because I'm like, this may take at least another 15 minutes to explain properly. I'm like, I don't think I have 15 minutes for this. I don't know. But yes.
It's
All right.
just like.
No, no.